She slammed her clipboard against my truck window and yelled, "You're violating HOA code. B, remove this vehicle right now or I'm calling the cops." Her voice sliced through the quiet morning like sirens. I rolled my window down just enough to say, calm but steady, "Ma'am, I'm not under your HOA." That line hit her like a slap. She froze, blinked twice, then leaned in close, her perfume mixing with the stench of entitlement. "Everyone here is under my authority," she hissed, jabbing her finger toward my driveway. "You people think you can just move in and ignore community rules? Not on my watch." I didn't bother arguing. I had been dealing with her kind for months. Fake notices taped to my door, warning letters that weren't even signed by real officials, and one time a threatening voicemail claiming my property would be seized. Knew what she was doing. Intimidation through fear. But I had something she didn't know. This land wasn't part of her HOA at all. As she dialed 911 with shaking fingers, I could hear her rehearsing her fake story. "Yes, officer. There's a trespasser. He's aggressive and refusing to leave," she said, staring right at me with a smug smile. I didn't flinch. I leaned against my truck, arms crossed, and waited. The sound of police sirens grew louder down the street. Neighbors peeked through blinds, recording on their phones. She stood tall, almost proud, like she'd just conquered the neighborhood. When the squad car stopped, she rushed toward them yelling, "That's him! Arrest him! He threatened me!" The two officers stepped out, stone-faced, silent. She didn't notice how relaxed they were, or how one of them nodded slightly at me. Then the taller one turned his head toward her and said, in a tone that made the air go still, "Ma'am, step back from Mr. Brooks." Her smile vanished. "Excuse me?" she stuttered. "He's the one causing trouble?" The shorter officer glanced at me, almost smirking. "Ma'am," he said, "you just called the cops." On his security team, her mouth fell open, and for the first time since I'd moved into this neighborhood, she didn't have a single word to say. "You thought you owned this street," I told her quietly, watching her face drain of color. "But turns out, you've been standing on my land the whole time." She blinked, took a step back and whispered, "What do you mean, your land?" That's when everything started to unravel. Her hands began to shake as she looked around, trying to make sense of what she'd just heard. "Your land?" she repeated, her voice cracking slightly. "That's impossible. This whole block is HOA property." The taller officer turned to her, arms crossed. "Ma'am, we've already verified the property lines. This address isn't registered under your HOA's jurisdiction." She froze again, her fake confidence melting like wax. That can't be right," she stammered, fumbling for her phone. "I have documents. I stepped closer, calm but firm. "You mean those fake notices you printed on your home printer?" Her eyes snapped up wide with panic. "You've been taping those to my door for weeks," I continued. "You might have fooled the neighbors, but not me." The cops looked at each other. The shorter one spoke. "Sir, we reviewed the surveillance footage your team provided. It's clear she trespassed on your property multiple times." Karen's jaw dropped. "Footage? What footage?" she asked, her voice trembling. I pulled out my phone, tapped the screen, and showed her a clear recording. Her, walking across my yard at midnight, sticking fake eviction signs on my fence, and whispering into her phone. "He'll regret ever buying this house." She went pale. The cops leaned in, their faces turning serious. "That's falsification of documents, trespassing, and harassment," the taller officer said. "You could be charged, ma'am." Her eyes darted between me, the officers, and the watching neighbors who had now gathered along the sidewalk. "No, you don't understand," she cried. "I'm just trying to protect the community. He's not supposed to be here." I tilted my head slightly. "You mean a homeowner who actually bought his property legally? Who has his name on the deed?" "Yeah, that's me." She took a shaky breath, her voice dropping to a whisper. "You don't know who you're dealing with." I smirked. "Neither do you." She tried to laugh it off, but her voice quivered. "You can't just—" Before she could finish, one of the officers' radios crackled. A voice came through. "Unit 12. We just confirmed property ownership verified. HOA complaint is invalid." The officer looked at her, almost pitying. "Ma'am, you're done here." But she didn't leave. She just stood there, face burning, then muttered, "This isn't over." She didn't know she'd just said the line that would ruin her. The next morning, my driveway was covered in something Sticky, red paint splashed across the hood of my truck, and the words "Get Out" sprayed across my garage door. My stomach turned. I didn't need to guess who did it. The smell of spray paint was fresh, and one of my motion cameras had already caught the culprit. When I checked the footage, there she was again, Karen, hood up, flashlight in one hand, can in the other, muttering to herself. Let's see if his security can clean this mess up. I leaned back in my chair, shaking my head. She'd completely lost it. Within an hour, a patrol car rolled up. The same two officers from yesterday stepped out, now with serious faces. She really did this? The shorter one asked, glancing at the footage. She did, I said. And she's still claiming I don't belong here. They didn't even need to ask more. They drove down the street straight to her house. I stood by my porch, arms crossed, watching her front door open. She came out in her robe, acting shocked. "What's going on?" she cried as they showed her a still image from the footage. Her mouth fell open, eyes darting. "That's not me," she said instantly, shaking her head. "That's someone else. A prankster." The taller officer sighed. "Ma'am, the timestamp matches your car leaving the driveway. We also found your footprints in the paint." Her face flushed crimson. "You can't prove—" But before she could finish, my neighbor, Mr. Lawson, walked out holding his phone. "Actually," he said, "I've got a clear view from my ring cam too." He played the clip. It was her again, laughing as she spray-painted the word "loser" across my garage. She looked around wildly, realizing the entire block was now against her. "You all set me up!" she screamed. "He's manipulating you. He's dangerous." I took a step forward, my voice calm but sharp. "Dangerous? You vandalized my home, trespassed on my property, and called fake cops on me. The only danger here is how far you're willing to go to feel powerful." For a long moment, she said nothing, just stared at me, breathing hard, eyes darting like she was searching for a way out. Then she whispered, "You think you've won? You don't know what I have on you." I frowned slightly. What's that supposed to mean? She smiled, cold, crooked. "You'll see." That's when my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "You should have stayed quiet, Mr. Brooks." And attached was a photo of my wife inside our home. My heart froze. The picture was taken from outside our living room window, just last night. My wife sat on the couch, unaware someone had been standing in the dark watching her. I rushed inside, yelling her name. She came running, scared, asking what happened. I showed her the message, my hands shaking. Her face went pale. "Who sent that?" she whispered. I didn't need to answer. We both knew. I checked every camera feed on my phone, backyard, front, gate, driveway. Then I saw it at 2:43 a.m., a shadow near the fence, crouching. Karen's figure. She wasn't alone this time. A man stood beside her, lifting something heavy. Looked like a crowbar. My stomach twisted. "She broke into our yard," I said, my voice tight. "She's crossing into felony territory now." My wife grabbed my arm. "You need to stop her before she does something worse." That's when I made the call, not to the local cops, but to my private network. The same team that guarded me when I worked federal cases years ago. Within 30 minutes, 2 black SUVs pulled up silently outside. The lead guard, Marcus, nodded. "We got your message, sir. We're setting perimeter coverage. No one gets in or out without your clearance." Karen had no idea who she'd provoked. The next evening, she tried again, walking down the street with her same smug posture, holding another notice of violation like she was still in control. She didn't know cameras were everywhere now, hidden under the mailbox, inside my porch light, and even across the street. She taped another fake letter to my door and whispered, "You'll be gone by Friday." But as she turned around, she froze. Marcus was standing right behind her, silent as a wall. "Ma'am," he said quietly, "step away from the property." Karen flinched, startled. "Who are you?" "You can't touch me. I'll call the police again." Marcus smiled faintly. "You could," he said, pulling out a badge. "But I think they'd be more interested in seeing this footage." He pointed at the small body cam on his vest, the red light blinking. Her confidence cracked. "What footage?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Footage of you trespassing. Again," he said, "and the man you brought last night, the one who tried to pry open the window." Her mouth fell open. That's a lie." Marcus didn't argue. He just tapped his earpiece. "Send it," he said. Within seconds, her phone buzzed. She looked down, and there it was. A crystal-clear video of her and her accomplice caught in the act. She turned pale, whispering, How did you get this?" I stepped out onto the porch. "I told you, Karen," I said quietly. "You don't know who you're dealing with." She backed away, shaking, eyes darting between me and the guards. "You can't do this." "You can't," she screamed, her voice cracking with fear. I stared at her coldly. "You wanted control, right? Now you're about to lose all of it." And then, flashing lights turned the street red and blue again. But this time they weren't here for me. The red and blue lights painted the whole street as neighbors stepped out again. Phones already recording. Karen stood frozen on the sidewalk, her robe half open, hair wild, and that fake HOA notice still clutched in her trembling hand. The two officers from before stepped out of the patrol car, their expressions heavy with something between disbelief and disappointment. "Ma'am," the taller one said calmly, "we've reviewed new footage submitted by Mr. Brooks's security team. We need you to step forward." She laughed nervously. "What? No, this is a mistake. He's framing me." "I was just trying to protect our community." "Protect it?" The shorter officer said, holding up a tablet that played the video of her breaking into my yard with a crowbar. "This you?" Her eyes darted left and right. "That's someone who looks like me." "That's not—" The officer cut her off. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for vandalism, trespassing, harassment, and attempted break-in." The entire neighborhood went dead silent. Even the wind stopped for a moment. Karen stumbled back. "No, you can't arrest me." "I'm the HOA," she screamed. I stepped closer, arms crossed. "No, Karen," I said quietly. "You were the HOA, but you just turned yourself into a criminal." She lunged forward, trying to grab the phone from the officer's hand. "Stop recording me," she shouted at the neighbors. But it was too late. Half the street was live streaming. "Karen, look at you," one of the neighbors called out. "You terrorized everyone here for months. You finally got what's coming." Her face twisted with rage. "You're all blind. He's dangerous. He's—" "A former federal security officer," Marcus interrupted smoothly. "We've already submitted your messages and footage to the state attorney." Her voice broke into a shaky whisper. "Federal what?" I looked her straight in the eyes. "You've been playing with fake authority," I said softly, while threatening someone who actually had it. She froze, her mouth half open, eyes wide with pure shock. The officers cuffed her quietly, reading her rights as the neighborhood watched in silence. A few people clapped. Others just sighed with relief. As they led her to the patrol car, she turned her head toward me one last time and said through gritted teeth, "You haven't seen the last of me." I took a slow breath, watching the door close behind her. "You're right," I murmured. "Next time I'll see you in court." The car drove off, and for the first time in weeks the street felt peaceful. But as I turned to go inside, Marcus stopped me. "Sir," he said, "there's something else you should see." He handed me a small black flash drive. "We found this in her accomplice's car." "What's on it?" I asked. He paused. "You're gonna want to sit down for this." I sat at my kitchen table as Marcus slid the flash drive into my laptop. My wife stood behind me, her hand gripping my shoulder. The screen flickered, then opened a folder named HOA Enforcers. Dozens of videos, documents, and audio recordings filled the screen. Karen's voice played first. "Okay, listen," she said, whispering. "We'll start with his house. Once he cracks, the rest of the block will fall in line. He doesn't belong here, none of them do." Marcus leaned closer. "She was recording her own meetings," he said. "Looks like she wasn't working alone." I scrolled through the files. There were spreadsheets, names, addresses, notes like "doesn't follow HOA orders," complained about fees, removed by pressure. Each one was a neighbor. My neighbors. She wasn't just a power-hungry busybody. She was running a private network, tracking everyone who stood up to her fake authority. Then came the last folder, authorization proof. I opened it, and there it was. Fake legal documents with forged county seals, all signed with the same shaky signature. K. Hastings, HOA Director. My wife gasped. "She forged government papers?" Marcus nodded. "Yeah, and she distributed them across 3 neighborhoods. She's facing federal charges now." I sat back, letting it sink in. "So this wasn't just about me," I said quietly. "She was running her own little empire." "Control," Marcus said. That's what it was about. Some people can't stand losing it. Just then, my phone buzzed again. A new message. Unknown number. They took her in. But I'm still out here. Marcus's jaw tightened. She's not the only one, he muttered, opening a file that showed multiple chat logs, her and a man named Supervisor Ray. They talked about expanding enforcement to other areas. So there's more of them? I asked. Looks like it, Marcus said. But don't worry, we're already tracking them. You're safe. I looked toward the window, watching the patrol car lights fade down the road. My wife leaned her head on my shoulder. It's over now, she whispered. I nodded slowly. Yeah, for her. Then I turned off the laptop and stared out into the quiet street, the same one where this all began. I fought for this country, I said under my breath, so no one could tell me what to do on my own land. Not the government, and definitely not an HOA Karen. A faint smile crossed Marcus's face. That's one hell of a quote, sir. I exhaled deeply. It's not a quote, I said. It's a reminder. The night settled calm again, but deep down I knew this wasn't the end. It was the start of something bigger, because if Karen had a network, I was going to find every single one of them. You tried to build control, I whispered toward the dark, but you woke up the man who protects freedom. And for the first time I felt peace mixed with purpose. End of story. Subscribe my YouTube channel for more stories.